I got the invitation to go on this Armed Lutheran radio show, though. You know this guy? Have you seen this? There's two things that I would like to say that make me feel safe. Number one, the fact that there is a radio show called the Armed Lutheran Podcast somewhere in the world. That makes me feel safer.
Pistols, prayer, and potluck. This is Armed Lutheran Radio.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Armed Lutheran Radio, a show about guns, hunting, competitive shooting, the natural right of self-defense, and what God's Word says about the issues surrounding gun rights and gun ownership. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, and this is episode number 412. Thank you all so much for making Armed Lutheran Radio a part of your week this week. Welcome one and all. I am sorry that this episode is late. This is the first episode in the new studio. Still don't have everything quite set up the way I would like it, and I have an air vent behind me that you might hear that is driving me crazy because it is very noisy. But anyway, before we get started, I do want to thank all of the members of the Reformation Gun Club for making this show possible. This week, I want to thank Justin from Berryville, Arkansas, Vincent from Tulare, California, David from Kennesaw, Georgia, Timothy from Keysport, Washington, Donald from Berthoud, Colorado, Kevin from Marion, Iowa, Michael from Bel Air, Maryland, Kenneth from Sugarland, Texas, Kurt from Rialto, California, and Robert from Elk River, Minnesota. Thank you to all of you for your support and to all of the members of the Reformation Gun Club. Folks, we are listener funded. We have no advertising. We have no sponsors. We rely on the awesome people, the members of the Reformation Gun Club, and their annual contributions of just $36 a year to help us keep the lights on and keep doing what we're doing. If you would like to get access to hundreds of hours of exclusive content that we have on our website, if you would like to get invitations to our monthly online hangouts, if you would like to get access to some cool Armed Lutheran swag, visit reformationgunclub.com and sign up today. We would love to have you come and join us. And we will have our first online hangout in the new studio in the next couple of weeks. As I said, new studio. We just finished moving across town. We did a little downsizing, moved into a house that's more our size. We're kind of half empty nesters at this point, and a 2,700 square foot house just didn't make any sense when the only thing upstairs that we were using was my office. So it made sense from the standpoint of not having to cool and heat half the house that we weren't using or clean it and all of that stuff. So we moved and found something smaller, something that fits us better. But that move got me thinking about something, the topic for today's show, and that topic is home defense. What do you do when you move into a new place? Whether it's a new house or a new apartment, a condo, a shack on the beach, whatever, once all the unpacking is done, it's probably a good idea to take some time to assess your new home and make a new emergency plan. For those of you who wonder what I'm talking about, probably saying to yourself, what is an emergency plan? Well, I'm glad you asked. An emergency plan is simply a clear set of instructions for you and your family for what to do in different types of home emergencies. For example, in case of a fire, where do you store your fire extinguishers? You do have fire extinguishers, right? If you don't, you need to go out and get some. We talk about how we carry guns because owning and carrying a gun is like owning a fire extinguisher. You don't own it because you want to use it. You hope you never need to. But you'll be in trouble if you need it and you don't have it. So how old are your fire extinguishers? Do they need to be recharged? Where are they stored? Where did you store them in the old house? Does your family know where you've stored them? And now that you're in the new home and everything's changed, Where are you storing them now? The best idea would be to sort of keep them in the same place as you did in the old home. So if you put them under the kitchen, one under the kitchen sink in the old place, and you have one in the garage or one upstairs, for example, put them in the same place in your new home. The layout may be a little different. The garage may be different, but the locations are similar. So keep to that find a similar home for your extinguishers in your new place. If you're like me, you don't no longer have an upstairs, well, find a place for the excess extinguishers and make sure your family knows where they are. So how do you and your family plan to escape the house in case of a fire? Have you tested the windows to make sure they all open and close smoothly? And can your family members open them? You probably rented the new place or bought the new place, and you may not have even opened the windows yet. Do they all open smoothly? If one of your windows sticks when you try to open it or won't open fully, that's a bad time to find out is when you do have a fire. So test them beforehand. Where do you go once you escape the house? You're in a new place, a new neighborhood. What do you do? What if you and your family members escape the house through different routes? Where do you go? Where do you sort of rendezvous afterward? Where do you meet up? Do you know your new neighbors? Which one of them do you go to? All of those considerations change when you change homes, and especially when you change neighborhoods. What about natural disasters? Here in Texas, one that you've always got to keep in mind is tornadoes. They're always a potential threat during certain times of the year. You might live on the Gulf Coast, or you might live on the East Coast where hurricanes are a possibility. Where is your safe room? Earlier this year, we had a tornado touchdown just a couple of miles north of us. Dozens of homes were damaged. Some of them were completely destroyed. The high school where my daughter will soon become a freshman suffered partial damage, which is just a couple of miles up the road. When storms get that close, the best thing to do is to get into a ground floor interior room that doesn't have any windows, that puts an extra wall between you and an exterior wall, and hunker down and wait till the storm passes. Have you identified where that room is in your house? And have you pointed it out to family members? Remember, it's not enough to make emergency plans for yourself. Your family needs to know these plans as well. What if something happens when you're not here? If you come up with a plan and expect that you're going to be the one that leads the family to safety, or you're going to be the one that takes charge and makes the decisions, what happens if you're not there? Your family needs to know how to handle those situations independently. What about home defense? The layout of your new home is very likely different from your old one. Where are your bedrooms? Where are your potential points of entry? Where are your firearms staged and stored? And I apologize, my phone is beeping. I didn't turn off the notifications. If you can't get out of the house, where are you going to barricade? You may have heard the old axiom. This is one that our good friend Aaron Israel always taught, which was to escape, evade, and barricade, I think it was. So basically, don't go looking for a fight. You want to try to escape the house if there's a home invasion, especially if you have family members, especially young children in the home. If you can't get out of the house, then you need a room where you can barricade and you can call police and hole up until the police arrive. Do you have a barricade room? Do you have a room with a steel door and a lock where you can barricade? Do you have extra long screws on the hinges of your exterior doors so that they're harder to kick in? Do you have an alarm system? Maybe you're renting and your place doesn't have an alarm. There are services like Simply Safe and a couple of others that offer systems that are do-it-yourself install specifically for renters. We need to ask, when we go to restaurants, we always want to be aware of our surroundings, where are the exits, one of the things that I do is I sort of visually or mentally picture where the exits are any place that I go with my family. Where will I go and how will I get my family to safety if something happens in this public space? Well, you need to do the same thing with your home. Where do you go if there's a break-in? What room do you run to first? Where are the guns stored or staged? What are the different strategies based on where the break-in occurs? What if it's the front door? What if it's the back door? What if it's a window on the side of your home? How do you react? And more importantly, how will your family react in those situations? Now, these are not especially pleasant thoughts, of course, but you should role play those scenarios out in your mind and then walk through those scenarios with your family so that everyone has a basic idea of what to do in any given situation. You may have everybody, well trained and prepared for those situations in the old home, but now that you're in a new one, you're going to have to retrain everyone, yourself included. I know that was a short episode. That was what is on my mind as I continue to unpack from the move as we settle into the new abode. Which the new studio you will get to see at our next online hangout later this month. If you have any thoughts or any comments or questions about this topic, if you want to share your own experiences, we'd love to hear from you. Visit our feedback page, armedlutheran.us/feedback, and leave us a message, and we would love to respond to your comments or questions in a future episode. Be sure to tune in next week. I don't know what we'll be doing, but it'll be fun, hopefully. Fun and or informative, maybe both. We'll see. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Keep shooting. Keep praying. We'll talk to you next time.
For show notes, be sure to visit our website at www.armedlutheran.us. Check out the Facebook page, The Armed Lutheran, or join our Facebook group, Fans of Armed Lutheran Radio. If you like what you hear, please leave us a comment on our feedback page at armedlutheran.us/feedback, or a review on iTunes, and let us know what you think. Thank you for listening to Armed Lutheran Radio, a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.